All right, Byron Cox, Sebastian Lyons, finish at the rim again. What's up, my man?
Chilling.
Good to see you. My friend's from New York here. He's gonna just do an intro about yourself, whatever you want to say.
All right. Byron Cox from the House Dance Project from New York City. I'm currently working with a number of different groups here in Finland, in Helsinki. Send a shout out to Dance Team International. Work with the illustrious studio of Footlight. He's been around since like '89, so shout out to them. We're doing a lot of interesting and exciting projects with like my brother Jara, Hip Hop Unite, and other folks we've had an opportunity to interact with. So yeah, I'm out here doing a bit of dance, sharing some art, democratizing sort of things that we've kind of grown up with in States.
Right.
And yeah, just having a bit of fun with that, you know what I mean?
If I like dancing, how am I not gay? No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm just
Good question. All right. Let's clarify, okay? Let's clarify. Let's get right into it. Right? So, like, all right. So I'm known for dancing to house music. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you know, born and bred straight. I have these challenges when you go out and people are like, "So you dance?" Yeah. To the music that is this particular music, yeah. And it's like, no, that's where it ends. Like, that's just part of my expression. But I get it, right? Because to certain populations that also gravitate towards house music. House music is dance music.
Yeah.
Right? And you can kind of do what you want to it socially. And that's
Right.
supposed to be encouraging sort of people being together and that kind of thing. And I can see, right, how that would be encouraging to a population that has generally been like also in dance and in art and have found some refuge and some acceptance through like dance, art, and music, whereas they may not necessarily have had that same sort of inclusion in a lot of the other things that we've been, you know, that have traditionally been, you know, just guys or just girls or just this or just that or, you know, sort of these polar opposites. That said, I've had to sort of define myself now that things have flipped and sort of say like, you know, these are my values, this is what I'm into, and I'm into dancing because of what it feels like and what music feels like for me,
Right.
the person that's in front of you, not an ideological sort of a thing. Like I'm not an amalgamation of a bunch of other people. I am who I am, and music speaks to me individually. And I might speak through a language that other individuals use,
Right.
but I don't necessarily have to be the paradigm, right? I am me. I am this person, and see me as me. Don't see me as necessarily a body of people who may be this or maybe that.
That's interesting because I have a perspective from growing up in LA and seeing lots of big house parties and house events. There's just a different level of love and comfortability there that is definitely, it doesn't define straight or gay.
Right.
I didn't, when I brought it up, I didn't even really think about how there's a lot to that. But that, like where I grew up, a lot depending on the sport you choose, and that's kind of something I wanted to bring up to you. Like, oh, okay, maybe I should just ask this first. Do dancers get girls?
You know what? A lot of people approach like dance in general for all kinds of different social reasons, and I encourage people to like don't be so dismissive of all these various little things. Because let's say you were awkward for whatever odd reason in high school or in college, and you did need one extra tool to just like meet somebody or meet people or whatever. Let's say, for example, like I'm in a country now where I don't speak the native tongue. Right. So just being able to move is another like language sort of communication, which allows a certain amount of socialization. And even if for that reason alone, like you want to meet like somebody special, whatever, yeah, that's a legitimate reason to literally use dance or basketball or other group activities. Don't be so dismissive and don't be so like, I don't know, like sort of ideological and be like, yeah, well, no, I do this because I 100% want to become, you know, the next teacher of X or the next. No, we've done these things, and many people who have at least entered into these things have done it for very, very personal reasons, and we need to allow enough space for those reasons to motivate, right? Instead of being a limiter. And yeah, so yeah, I mean, it definitely helped me to meet lots of like now close friends, and it helped me in dating and helped me communicate, but it also helped me like I was an IT guy, right? And
Yeah.
one day, like, the internet the bottom fell out from it. And I had to work for 37 hours straight in a data center. All right, how do you do that? Well, the physicality that I have had to endure from coming from like the New York club scene and dancing a lot and all that kind of thing, it gave me an endurance to allow me to work all set 37 hours, right? So even if you were like, I want to dance so I can work harder at work, or I want to dance so that I can sleep better, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just do it for those reasons, and don't let anybody tell you that that's not legitimate or that's not enough. It is. It absolutely is, and let that carry you forward, because you as an individual reserve that right. You know what I mean?
It reminds me of a movie called The Dow of Steve, where the basic principle was, even if it's something you're terrible at, like, I mean, that's not respected by society so much. Yeah. If you're excellent at that thing, you're gonna get the right type of attention based on just being excellent at your thing. I don't remember what the guy was good at. I think he was like good at smoking weed. So I don't know how this premise is going to sound from my mouth. You have to see the movie, but he did it so cool that it ended up working out for him, where he got jobs and women. Hold on, yeah, it doesn't sound right when I say it.
No, but it is kind of like, it's good. I guess it's good, sort of like, kind of look at the full breadth of like people's experiences and like a lot of. Let's look at popular culture, and let's look at like why do we enjoy certain types of things? Like let's say, okay, for me, I mean, this may be going back a ways, but I remember seeing like Michael Jordan, right, and just being like, wow, I want to. Of course, we wanted to jump like him. We wanted to be able to like, at the last minute, be able to turn around and just like be the person that people rely on, to score the winning bucket. But then, am I really saying that all the time, or am I saying I want to be the person that like people can rely on in general, right? Do I want to be like the hero maybe once or twice, or maybe as often as possible? Like I want to be calm under pressure, right? It can go that far, and if I really allow myself to be like, you know what, I wasn't very good at math, right? But just this one time, I want to turn on my hero gene and just be the one who like has the top math thing, or I understand something about math better than everybody else, or I can contribute at a certain level, like Jordan would contribute to that team. Is that enough? Isn't that kind of enough too? Like, isn't that really part of, like, sort of how we, or what motivates us to do or do whatever? I mean, your story's pretty crazy. I mean, were you thinking like, yeah, I'm going to come to Finland and play basketball when you started playing? I mean, was that it?
And that was kind of a long shot. I just met a guy in America who said, "Oh, I'm pretty sure you can make it," but that doesn't mean much. I didn't really know what it was like over here. What does making it mean? What will I play for money? Will I just get to play for stats? Who knew? So I started at 24, always just being told, "I'll never make it. You don't have the genetics. You're white. You can't." I mean, what did I hear from the first team I played on? I don't respect anybody that's not a black athlete. Things like this that you're just like, you have to be tougher than what you're hearing. And just, I took it as a challenge because I was a grown man. I didn't care about the racism. I was around so many different races, and it was such a mixing pot that you kind of see it differently. So that toughness that you kind of build in that environment helps me out with the strategy that I kind of use with building an athlete later on in life. So it definitely helped me get to that point sooner. But no, I didn't even know, even in college, if I would play, because I've always had health issues. So for me, it's always been about just like personally being healthy, getting off medications for the first time in my life. I had asthma, and I had all kinds of debilitating things that I couldn't play through. I wasn't allowed to play when I was a kid.
Okay.
So I was a water boy for my team and tried to do things, but I never got to enjoy being an athlete, and you got to do that.
Interesting.
So I came into athletics at like 24 and just wanted that hobby of, I've already participated and competed in the business world. That was interesting. That has a level of success that I understood that I wanted, but then it didn't come with health or necessarily the happiness I thought it would. Yeah, you can drive the nicest car in your neighborhood, or be able to throw more money at doing things, or have the house party that's sweet. When you're under 21, if you got your own apartment and money to throw, man, it's a whole other level.
Right.
But
Well, it's funny how we actually parallel because, like, I found out in 6th grade that I had asthma. Right, I'm on a class trip, and in 6th grade it was like very exciting to be able to go and be away from your parents for like a week. And you go into the woods. I mean, this is New Jersey, it's Cherry Hill, New Jersey. So you go into the woods, and you actually are like expected to sort of do experiments and understand things about nature, but also be kind of useful outside of the house, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm out there, I'm really excited, and like halfway through the trip, and I'm hanging out in the woods and doing something, and I just my air passages are like just like shutting down. Which again, you don't understand why. You figure you have a cold, and it gets worse and worse and worse. I had to go to the hospital, I had to get the shots, all that kind of thing, and they were like, "Yeah, you have asthma." And I was like, "Wow, okay." As active a person as I was or thought I was, that can be like kind of a super letdown because it's like, wow. So now literally the most natural thing in my body is the thing that will shut me down in a minute. I need to be aware of it, sort of like that kind of thing. And I think the martial arts side sort of helped me to mentally deal with those kinds of challenges.
And you started that at how old?
I mean, the martial arts was sort of a lifestyle thing I started, I guess, probably like maybe 7 or 8, thereabout. I mean,
and that's back in the self-taught days, right? It's not like you went to China and had a seat.
No, well, yeah. I mean,
where'd you go? We weren't going to schools at first. There was like not much built around unless it was traditional.
Yeah, I mean, I did
what
both.
Did you do?
I did both. I mean, I had a neighbor who I just would imitate. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And as later on, I understood more what I was just messing with. And then we grew up in I think in Black American culture, we kind of grew up a lot with like Kung Fu theater and the Shaw Brothers and Five Deadly Venoms and that whole like pre-Wu-Tang sort of culture. And so you would watch these things and you would see these like Chinese heroes, like the underdog would be tying something around his head and fighting against the magistrate and all of his soldiers, and they would do it, right? And you're like, wow, like being from the being a minority population in the United States, even seeing some of the problems that we have now against the authority, like with police shootings and all these other things, it's nice to know that, to be honest, a non-white hero, which were the Chinese, could tie something around their head and still have a chance, right? Still have against the big power. We probably didn't think about it in those terms like initially, but it felt good. I know I watched these shows and it felt good, and so I would be imitating and moving and just as you're a kid and you have time and you don't pay taxes, so I'd be doing that, right? I'd be doing all that kind of thing. And then like the YMCA. I don't know if the YMCA provided activities for a lot of us, and so it was a natural thing. Like, oh, you guys have like a martial arts class? I was like, yeah, it's Taekwondo, right? Mm-hmm. Even though I used a lot of the techniques that I had learned from my neighbor or things that made sense to me or movement wise, I understood my body as per the things I saw on the Shaw Brothers movies. And so I was able to progress a bit in Taekwondo.